Thank you so much, Calaris, and everybody at the desk. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nathanius, joined by Todd as we get into our first series here at WCS Fall. And first thing I want to say, of course, welcome to Montreal, right? Is that how you say it?
Montreal.
Montreal?
Montreal.
I'm trying.
Just intro them.
I'm trying. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start this one off on World of Sleepers. The only thing you're not doing, though, is sleeping. We're getting excited with some StarCraft. In the top right, our blue Terran player kicking things off. He is uThermal. Hoping to have a better performance than Team Liquid across other games in this last weekend. His opponent in the southwest, the red Zerg, beloved and a true legend of StarCraft. He is Stephano.
No music festival to fall back on. It's all StarCraft. He's hoping to deliver there.
We did see someone walking down the street with a boombox yesterday. I'm sure Stephano will find it.
He can create his own music festival.
He'll find the party. Oh, he'll find it or he'll make it.
The speaker over his shoulder.
I could see it.
Tunes.
I could see what and he's got some big shades. I brought my California shades. He can have them with the boombox over the shoulder and a tank top. I could see Ilias like that 100%. And I'm really excited. Of course, we get to start this off with Terran versus Zerg. Todd, I know you've been busy taking over and saving the world back and forth. Have you got to see many of the battlecruiser shenanigans? Because that's what I'm hoping to see a lot of at this WCS.
Yeah, it kind of feels weird though, from one game to another, how it can sometimes do really well, but then in the next game completely get shut down. It feels like maybe it's because it was still a newer thing, like players hadn't gotten used, kind of like, Widowmine drops and oracles, like also, I guess oracles always kill everything no matter what, but like Widowmine drops, they were kind of hit or miss. Like sometimes they would not kill much, but other times they would just kill every single probe. Maybe it takes sometimes to get used to from players, and now they started to figure it out a little bit more, but obviously a unit like Battlecruiser, you can still micro it very well, move out of the range of the squint, still try to prevent the economy from the opponent from being built, and then from there transition and take all the appropriate steps.
So we've got that Reaper coming out now. Things about Terran versus Zerg, I'm going to say he's not thinking about doing anything crazy with that drone that he put up there, was he? So the Reaper is going to come up here and poke, but Terran versus Zerg has kind of had not too many adjustments. I think the biggest thing for this year overall was the introduction of a lot of those battlecruiser type strategies. We had a lot of the battle mech early on in the year. Battlecruisers have had that usage come up, but the big thing has mostly been the Terran trying to keep the Zerg on their toes, right? It's been a lot of different types of builds. Terran versus Zerg has so many openings right now. As the Zerg player, you need to constantly be aware of the tech choices that the Terran's going for. Is it going to be a Hellbat attack? Is it going to be a battlecruiser? Is it going to be Banshees? We've seen everything from that to ranged Liberators, Hellbat drops, and then some really heavy eco cheeses as well. Players like Hero Marine, I'm sure, as we'll hopefully see busting out some of those. I remember one of the last matches we did of him in Challenger, like 3 command centers with absolutely nothing behind it, but a second factory, Johan.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing quite a few Hellions here being made. I'm curious what happened with the 2 drones, because it kind of feels like Stephano sent both drones to every possible base that he could take, and maybe if one of them got blocked, he would have taken the other, but both of them could be taken at a time, and it shows the third base forward, like the one towards uThermal natural. So maybe he's the one that means to, I don't know, play aggressive himself, start spreading creep also forward, like towards the center of the map, and kind of take control of the game from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing to notice as well, because like you said, he could use that creep to push forward a lot faster, especially if he goes to something like roaches at some point, which if he continues to build Zerglings, I'm going to get concerned for him. uThermal, I was talking about this. He is doing something that we don't really see. I'm pretty sure the last couple times in WCS where we had a Terran go for a fast second factory, it was excuse me, for the Cyclone upgrade. They're going for the rapid fire launchers, or the Magfield accelerator as it is now. But going for fast blue flame with a lot of Hellions, you could still get an armory with this, but since you're looking to kill all of those Zerglings in one volley, you don't really need the transform except to fight against the Queens. So he might try to just throw the Hellions at his opponent. This definitely follows up into mech pretty nicely, since you're already going to have that Hellion upgrade. You can constantly bring the harass. You miss some things like that ranged potential to hit with, and you also need to be careful, because this Overlord at the front for Stephano is going to be looking at that Hellion count, and if you're seeing, when you see odd numbers of Hellions, Well, that just tells you, it's like, well, he's not building two at a time, which means there is a second factory, and he did catch a glimpse.
Yeah, if he was paying attention, he might have seen that. We'll see the production tab in a second if his drones or maulings here that are being started, but he has quite a few queens. Now the Hellions are going to be revealed. If Stephano was paying attention, he needs to get a ton of units. Zerglings are going to start, but Stephano's army is very small in comparison. He starts some spine crawlers, but I don't think they're going to finish on time.
All right, we do have a pause from Stephano. Don't want to get too far into anything since we're not going to be 100% aware of whether he can hear us or not on the stage if he takes his headphones off. But already a nice, exciting start to the game. All right, he's ready to go just like that. So we're going to get right back into it. 3 factories starting behind this for uThermal, and as Blue Flame finishes, he's going to get Magfield Accelerator. So the big play here is you can't really fight the Queens with this many Hellions, so you want to just punch through the Lings and try to focus down the drones. If you can get... he's going to need to get quite a few, honestly. This is a really big commitment of Hellions, but in this situation, almost all of the drones in the main are completely exposed.
Would you like some poutine with those Lings?
He's lining them up behind that mineral line. 6, 7 workers picked off so far. Still want to make sure you can take out another volley or 2 of the Zerglings. 9 drones is pretty good, but you're still looking for more. Maybe try to go back down towards the natural expansion. He's going to get 10 workers for all of this. Now, this was not your average, oh, I built 8 Hellions and just kind of yeeted them in, run by. It was 12 Hellions with an investment in a Blue Flame, but 45 Zerglings being killed is the cherry on top here, because as the Zerg, you have to choose between whether you're going to spend your larva on rebuilding the drones that you've lost or getting out some Lings. And this means those Hellions can get right back on the map and try to deal pressure. But the big thing that I'm looking at, Todd, the Baneling Nest has only just started. The lair is halfway done, which means we're pretty far away from having anything like speed roaches on the map. And when you've already got Blue Flame, those Cyclones could start to put some serious pressure on if you can get out on the map in the next minute or so.
And those Stephano even have a clear idea of what's happening here, because he was attacked by a lot of Hellions Blue Flame, but that doesn't mean that it necessarily would be Meg behind this. A lot of Terrans, they'll just go into bio off the back of that. His scouting overlord was sniped, and now he's going into a Baneling Nest, so there's not going to be anything like a roach run. Oh, he's sneaks in with the Ling. This is a very important scout here. He sees everything.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing read to get, and a very important to point that out, Todd, because I do think sticking on just Ling Bane, while it can work if you keep the creep spread up and you can try to get those big surrounds and force the Terran to sit back there and just try to poke away at him, enough Hellions are going to be able to kill a lot of Lings. We've seen players like Raynor, like Cyril deal with this style with lots of Ling Bane and playing those big surrounds on the map, but if you can get good positions with the Hellions, you can do a lot of work. This is actually cleaned up pretty nicely. He's going to get over towards this base, and this base...
It was a decoy.
Yeah, it was, it's good to go for the 2-prong at once. Now this is some very value-generating Hellions. Look at that choke point between the mineral patch and the geyser. Oh my goodness, this is what Terran dreams are made of right here, Todd. Even splits the Hellions so one of them can soak all of the Banelings. And that base, really important. If you guys notice, the purple gas, it's not, we don't have Vespene geyser skins, not like that in the game, ladies and gentlemen. These are the rich Vespene geysers, so they're gonna mine double the resources. They still have the normal resource count, so they mine out twice as fast, but you don't need to use as many drones to saturate it as a normal base for getting that big gas economy.
The army supply heavily favoring the Terran player here, who's gonna move out, try to deal some damage with those Cyclones. He locks on some of those Queens here, trying to force, I think, the Banelings to come forward so that he can snipe a lot of them. As Centrifugal Hooks wasn't finished yet, it's almost as if uThermal knows.
I mean, you need Baneling speed and creep to deal with this, and even then, it's still very risky because this army can't really chase off creep. The Hellion count is enough to deal with the Lings, and perhaps it's something in the style that he studied from Stephano that he doesn't go roaches as a response to this. He has this opportunity to bully Stephano until he gets up those infestors. We have pathogen glands on the way, but as long as he can keep that creep spread back and try to continuously apply pressure while transitioning into maybe ranged liberators, I'm not going to go super crazy and say battle cruisers just yet, but tries to flank with these Zerglings, and this is where a bit of that strength comes in from the battle mech. A lot of the Cyclones are still able to keep alive. You just kind of kite the Hellions behind, and you can kill a lot of Zerglings, but you step too far on that creep, you're going to get surrounded and lose everything.
And very important for uThermal to try and keep up with his upgrades here, because he was going to start to fall really far behind. He drops the double armor. He's still going for more command centers, and he's flexing his macro muscles.
That's good to point out, though, Todd, because, man, these skins look really awesome, by the way. These are like the new war chest ones. I love how the Widow Mines look on these. I'm not going to lie. I spent half the time gushing. I came into this tournament trying not to gush too hard about the skins, but I'm not going to give them. I can't help it. But you're right. Getting those upgrades is really important because those Blue Flame Hellions are going to lose their ability to two-shot the Zerglings. And when you don't have that, it becomes really hard to get that map pressure. Since we know Stephano is basing his strategy, he wants to go around. He wants to get those infestors. I really do love the mines. I'd love to see him get drilling claws with this to keep some map stability, to try to get some zone control, even straight into Neural Parasite. So what Stephano is saying is he wants to go right up to that Infestor, Broodlord, Queen, maybe some Corruptors, maybe some Vipers. You can kind of sprinkle in whatever you want and build that kind of big Death Ball-y army. That Hellion Cyclone, you just can't engage any type of Broodlord tech with Cyclones.
I really like the choice of heading towards the south here because Stephano cannot really set up an attack from behind, even though he's trying to do that right now. He's going around with a lot of links to come in from behind, get a full
Beautiful Widow Mine hits for uThermal. And the really nice thing, though, Todd, is he's actually been so active on the map, he's carved a pathway where there's no creep spread here. So if Stephano wants to go for a flank, he can, but it's not going to time out as nicely or as easily as it otherwise would. The creep it's going pretty far to the northwest side, but I think at this point, if you're uThermal, you just want to take your next bases. Yeah, take that right side base. And I love these walls. He's consistently keeping the walls up on that center position. That map is hard to hold on to, but it's another great part about this map. He's had so much Vespene gas to work with from having that early double geyser. It's just made everything a whole lot easier economically for uThermal, but he is going to need to think about where he's going next if he doesn't get a couple of really good engagements. Those Infestors can turn this around real quick. That's a very low hit point army. It's fast, it hits hard, but if he gets surrounded and hit by one fungal, he can lose all of it very fast.
And we've seen that happen many times.
Quite a few times.
Especially on the stream sometimes.
That's why I don't go for this. That's why I just go straight to the BCs. I you know, try to pick which sword I'll die on, you know what I mean?
I really like the addition of the tanks here. Like, he's going into tank production to try and basically build the perfect mix of Hellions to Cyclones to tanks, and then go for a big siege. In which case, if you get a very nice cost-efficient trade, you can sometimes finish the game or get so far ahead that the next wave of production could maybe finish it.
Yeah, and the thing is, the siege tanks, generally, when you're playing mech versus Zerg, siege tanks are weak because they're on a timer against Broodlords. These Burrowed Infestors have the potential to come in and flank through the behind.
Every time I see this, I get the Jaws music in my head.
And this is crazy because, it's actually,
my God.
Oh no. I mean, he could try to, and this can go bad real quick too. He has to get all the tanks at once. If he scans and the tanks start shooting the Infestors, he's going to kill them. There we go, Neural Parasites on the tanks, and the tanks are going to blow the Cyclone Hellion to smithereens. This allows the Zerglings and the Banelings to get on top, and a beautiful engagement there by Stephano. Those infested Terrans, and that was the first time that he really got to see the Infestors on the map. That was his first engagement against them. Stephano got all of those upgrades very quickly in this game, and this makes me nervous because I was gonna say tanks are great for zoning away the Infestors and their Neural Parasite, but this opens the door for the Zerg to make that transition into Broodlords. Now, if he doesn't get there, then the tanks will be fine, but he's gonna try and throw some infested Terrans down to break the siege line. The tank up front is gonna get picked off. Neural Parasite is still a very big factor, by the way. Using those tanks against the Cyclones can really do a lot of damage.
uThermal has been absolutely relentless the entire game, consistently going across the map, never really slowing down and saying, well, you know what, we're just going to split the map, I'll go into higher tier units, higher tech.
Ooh.
He's still pressuring, but Stephano so far has had an answer for everything. Even though he's always trailing a little bit in supply, finally catches up and gets ahead here for a little bit.
There's a few things I like here that I haven't seen a lot. That's TvZ late game for you right now. There's a few things I really like here, though, for uThermal. First of all, it is a bit odd that Stephano hasn't started. I don't think he has a Spire on the map just yet. So without the option to go into Broodlords, the siege tanks are always going to be good. I've got nothing bad to say about tanks if the Zerg doesn't have a Spire, especially since he hasn't gone for Vipers either. Both equally confusing. His strategy is based around trying to use the Burrowed Infestors, maybe bring some SCVs for it. That's the first starport of the game, by the way, that's building right now. I'll say maybe bring some SCVs with your army and put turrets up behind your tanks. But these Widow Mines, you never see Terrans do this, especially with mech. But you gotta love it because the army, the way that it's all moving around and spreading out everywhere, the Infestors are gonna eat a lot of random pot shots off of those. This tank is gonna get gulped on by the Ling Bane Force. That could be enough to try and threaten one of these planetaries. If he can get the Banelings onto the SCVs to cancel a repair, he might be able to just pop this one clean open, and he just pulls the workers away, says, whatever, I've got another base that just finished, I'll try to move over there. Hashtag worth. And oh my God, like a scan here, you could do so much damage, but
he doesn't see it. He's not looking there.
The tank's like, where am I parked right now? Okay, so actually shooting those links helped deal some damage to the
Ooh, my
infestors,
God.
but
The infestors.
Yeah, okay, there's the scan, but it's too late. Assimilation successful as he's gonna take these siege tanks, but uThermal's not done yet. He's got an army moving towards the south side, using those drilling claw widow mines to continue to zone out the army. And I would love to see him try to throw some of those Hellions into the natural, get that transformation servos. That upgrade's so useful here. Just make sure you keep scanning those infestors. That's the ace in the hole right now for Stephano to take down this mech force.
I think Stephano has quite a bank, by the way. Like, he took him some time to finally start using that properly. I think maybe he was running out of lava on some of his bases. So now he's trying to catch up, but he's starting to fall behind supply very heavily.
Beautiful, even just the Hellbats playing there. Okay, so here we go, some neural parasites onto the siege tanks. Gonna throw a lot of the infested Terrans onto this army, but with just a little bit of Hellbat support, he is gonna be able to clean those up. And like I said, in this situation, the Hellbats, they're gonna be fantastic against those Zerglings. The tanks deal with the Banes. Stephano doesn't have an army. Those Ultras that you were talking about are gonna finish. He's starting to spend the rest of that money, but it doesn't seem like the larva is there, Todd, as you already pointed out.
The Ultras are gonna have to be the Hail Mary play here for him to try and come back in this game.
That's a pretty deep pass to try and throw right now.
Especially from a Frenchman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In rugby, you pass backwards, Nathaniel.
And you know what? It's like, hey, I finally got Ultras. Like, well, first of all, siege tanks are on the map. They're pretty good against Ultralisks. Second of all, 6 Liberators being built at a time. Glad that we brought the America references out now that we've got the Freedom Ringers coming onto the field, as they're going to make it quite difficult. I gotta say, quite an interesting game that we saw here out of Stephano. This strategy, the way that he's done this was quite intriguing. The lack of Aspire or Vipers. He's gonna try and engage on top of this army. And those Ultralists are pretty chonky. The Hellbats to buffer on the left side, but now the Liberators are gonna come siege up over the siege tanks, and maybe he cleans this up, but Johan, I have to say,
Look
at
the
supply. It's not very high for Stephano right now. 128 to 196. The expansions have been cut off. He's starting to push on the south side once again. By those widow mines, hashtag value, baby. A lot of random shots on those mines that he left in the center of the map. GG is called, and uThermal is going to take the first map in this best of 3. A perfectly executed strategy, and really just love everything that he brought. I haven't seen a 2-factory blue flame opening like that in a very long time. Most players try to get the Cyclones out a little bit earlier. uThermal says, no, Stephano likes Zerglings, and I'm going to punish that.
I was wondering about the damage, because he lost 12 Hellions, but he killed 10 drones. You would think it's not enough, but
the Lings,
he killed a ton of Lings and he forced a ton of Lings.
Yeah,
and then
45.
even force even more after that.
45 Zergling kills.
That was funny. Like, all Ultras died, and then I saw Chitinous plating 10 seconds left on the right side. It's like, oh no, not like this.
Chitinous plating is not the biggest deal against mech, but still.
Yeah, you prefer having...
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. I gotta say, one of my biggest things that I've noticed across Terran players going mech this year in StarCraft 2, a lot of them get tunnel vision on the Cyclone Hellion, and you don't see a lot of the supporting units. In old school StarCraft, it would be Hellion tank, and then everything else would be support. But when Hellion Cyclone is the main army, you have to bring in some of those bigger units as the support for them. Having a couple tanks is really nice. I just want to give a big shout out, getting the transformation servos to continue to switch the Hellions between modes.
Yeah.
As soon as the Banelings are gone, you want them in Hellbat form. If there's Banelings on the map, you want them in Hellion mode, or you need them in range of those siege tanks, but also the drilling claws. Those widow mines generated so much value over the entire course of the game. Hello, everybody here. Well, we've already we've got quite some folks here to watch some StarCraft today. Happy Friday.
Hello, Canada.
Hello. Bonjour. I think that's what I'm supposed to say here. Because you know what? What better way to get down on a Friday than to watch some StarCraft 2? And the Terran versus Zerg, uThermal versus Stephano to start off.
With some mech as well.
Well, you know, I'm never going to complain about that.
Yeah.
Some good times. Hopefully you're all having a good time. Twitch chat was having a fun time as we were getting ready for this one. We love you guys too.
That was very well executed by uThermal. And I feel like maybe Stephano got a little bit overeager, because he was defending, you know, fairly decently, I would say, for the most part. But the moment he started, I guess, fighting with infestors before they had replenished a lot of energy and, you know, got scanned on top of them, that was That was really awkward, actually, those tanks,
Yeah.
like, just kind of like driving on top of these infestors.
So the biggest takeaway there is I don't hate Stephano's idea behind it. The first engagement is what every engagement's supposed to look like. However, it is countered by an ability that costs 50 energy, of which uThermal has probably 8 at his disposal at any point in the game. So unless you are flanking with those infestors, which is really hard to do without creep spread, the infestors, sometimes we make jokes about how they move around quickly while they're burrowed, but that really is because they also benefit from the creep speed boost. So let's see if he can make it happen here against his opponent, leading 1-0 as we start things off. Hope you're having a fantastic day, Canada, and those of you watching around the world. In the bottom right, we have the blue Terran player. He is uThermal. You think that guy on his laptop in the crowd has... You think he has the stream up? He's
in the Twitch chat
He
right
wants
now.
the chat experience while being here live. That's dedication. Shout out to you. In the top left, we have the red Zerg player. He is Stephano.
Maybe we might see Stephano put a little bit more effort into scouting earlier this time around. You talked about it too, like I like the term that you used even, keeping the Zergs on their toes with the scouting and everything. And with those queens having that many legs, that's quite a few toes.
Yeah, well, I mean, queens have, honestly, I don't know what we classify them as with how many toes, claws, weird spine things they have, but keeping them on all of them. And you know what? There was some upgrade that recently got made cheaper or something. I think it was a scouting upgrade for the Zerg as well. Maybe we could see a little bit of that usage, because that's been a big factor for TvZ.
Since the Terran. When was the last time you saw a scan trying to get any kind of information?
Well, you know what Terran players weren't doing last year, Todd? SCV scouting. I'm actually quite happy to see this. This is back in the meta now. And another thing that even a lot of Korean Terrans have started to do as well is opening up with the Marines and saying, hey, some of these maps, like, I kind of know that the Zerg has to play more reactionary. Like, Zergs don't really do one-base cheeses, right? Like, for the most part, you're not facing in a tournament series one of those weird one-base Ravager rushes. On ladder, maybe you're worried about that. Yeah. But you send the SCV out early, you don't need to build the super fast Reaper, or at least you can try to go for like 1 or 2 early Marines and then get it later, as some players have done, because denying that first Overlord, if you can push it back or keep it from coming straight into the base, just generates so much value. The information in this phase of the game is way more important for the Zerg player than it is for the Terran, because there are so many things that a Terran player can do to you at the start of a match.
Sometimes you can have some potential to block the third as well. Wow, very quick snipe here on that first drone. The Queens, not quite finished yet. Links are going to come out. uThermal really wants that drone. He's going to force an extractor. And that Reaper is absolutely on fire here.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's literally got fire coming out his back, and on this skin, I have to say, it looks beautiful, Todd. I will not shut up about those today. If he could get a tumor snipe there, that would be huge, but it does not look like he's going to be able to do it. Now, this map, you've got a good amount of space open up. You're not really dealing with a lot of ramps leading into your bases. There's that one in front of the natural, but there's a lot of airspace on this one. This is one of those few maps where you're going to be able to tuck a Liberator or a BC here. So if you want to do one of those rush builds, and we do have a starport opening, it's not too factory, there are places for you to pull the BC or the Liberator out from. So you can put it there, wait for the cooldown. Or if you want to do one of those like fast Hellion drops, you have some better options since this is one of those maps that has some airspace.
I think Reaper was maybe trying to see how much gas had been mined, if there was maybe even a second gas, but sees that he's fairly safe for the most part, and even gonna get him right out of there here for now. Yeah, we see a Liberator now start, so you're right on the money with that. Well, which place is best? You think the third or natural?
I think on this map, the natural is the safest spot. You can do it on the third, but the natural, the thing is, this is one of those maps, and I can tell you I've tested this one. The behind the main, not really a whole lot of places where you're going to be safely away from a queen being able to hit you. So playing around that third base is going to be a little bit better. Or the natural, maybe the third, because you can kind of jump straight back towards the main a little bit more easily. It really just comes down to where he wants to hit with the Hellions and if he gets an armory. So there's a third command center, and the Overlord is just going to see this straight away. But whether or not there's an armory has a big impact on that, because he could try to also take one of the Liberators towards the front and make a push out of it.
Yeah, I think the starport is nice without a tech lab as well, so it knows it doesn't have to worry about anything like a cloak banshee or anything like that. But uThermal always synergizes his ground with his air so well, tries to basically bring those queens out of position here on the third base, and then sends the Liberator into the natural. See, he's going to do the same. He brought him back to the natural. Now he's going to bring him back to the third base. And that's when the Liberator will fly into the natural and start killing drones left and right. And then Stephano is like, oh no.
And
I need to send back the queens to the natural.
Yep, keeping those queens bouncing between the bases is big, especially since it's just the links for the other forms of defense. So those Hellions do want to put the pressure on. There wasn't an armory. And behind this, important to note, he started the stim in front of the Overlord, but he's not going to cancel it or do any crazy, special tier shenanigans. He's going to go right into bio, 2 engineering bays, 2 more barracks are on the way behind this, as well as some siege tanks to anchor down. And we're going to see a little bit more bio shenanigans on this map. Those airspaces I was talking about, obviously, they're going to be good for the drops as well.
And also, remember last game, it felt like Stephano, I don't want to say got lucky because like he did go for the scout, but the wall was down and he spotted mech as soon as like kind of he needed to see the latest possible timing, but he was already going on like a lot of Ling and Bane. So I guess here it's not going to change much because he's going to face bio anyway, but I guess some sort of scout would be nice to already have somewhat of an idea. Okay, that's going to get shut down real fast.
I'll tell you what.
One tank on the high ground. The Lion King on the...
A siege tank blowing up some Lings does not give you all the information that you could want. And it's possible that Stephano was always going to play the same style, like Ling Bane, whether it was bio or not, and try to get into Infestors. Because the Infestor, even post-nerf, is still pretty good. But I think late game-wise, it's actually a lot worse versus bio, especially since the Ghost buff has come into play. We've already seen widespread usage of the new Enhanced Shockwaves upgrade that if any of you are coming back to StarCraft from a long time ago and you're like, man, I haven't played betas, I haven't played StarCraft since they nerfed the Ghost EMP. Yeah, they've got that back. So the Terran players in the end game, that upgrade makes Ghosts versus Infestors way easier since that EMP radius increase off the upgrade really helps to zone away some of those fighting units. And once the Infestors can't fungal your Ghosts, well, we already know how good the snipes are against Broodlords.
And
or
also,
Ultras.
splitting your burrowed Infestors is not exactly a concept that nobody ever thought of in the past, so we're not there yet.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing was they also, what was it? There was a patch in like the last year or two as well. The Infestors went on a little bit of a diet. They're not quite as dummy thick, so they're actually a little bit more susceptible to EMP from that too. So I'm interested to see, mostly because he went for so many Infestors in the last game, if he wants to stick with that. Still no Spire, right? So it's there. There's the Infestation Pit. I assume 2-2 is going to start up for Stephano, and he's probably going to make his way over to Hive as fast as he can. Now, the advantage of this style is that you're supposed to be able to just have a redonkulous number of Ling Bane that you can kind of swarm over. It kind of reminds me, True was a player that really pioneered just kind of like an, I don't need anything but Ling Bane while I tech up.
Yeah.
But let's see what he can do with it, because some of these units are out on the map. And
the way you negate that here as Terran is you stay on the edge of the creep and you make sure you never really step too far on it against the Banelings. Now he scans, sees there's no Banelings around, so he's gonna.
But there's no mutants too. He can just lift up and fly away.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
at the same time,
part.
he's gonna posture forward on the left-hand side. Right now, he's just with some of the Hellbats. Plus that when he hear Reaper's still alive.
You know why? He brought the Reaper because just in case he gets a sick grenade bounce into like the Hellbat AoE, he's like, I want the Reddit post about how good I am. But Reaper's already dead. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not gonna be a Reddit post.
No. Maybe one day we'll get to see a mid-game Reaper do something cool. Theoretically, if you could throw it into like the middle of 7-speed Banelings and the Marines killed all of them in midair, it would be the coolest thing of all time. We're just never gonna see it. Not until Alpha Star Masters Terran.
And then we'll get a GIF even. Just like that Protoss playing with the joystick and landing the force field.
Well, that's when you get the Terran player on the DDR pad, right? And they're showing all the splitting and the Reaper grenades. Without mutas, though. Like, what are you going to do without this? I'll just fly away.
Just rushing Hive.
Peace, bruh. Drilling Claws, though, I like this. He got great effectiveness out of them in the last game. Not too many Terran players go for crazy fast Drilling Claws as far as like into that mid pre-late game stage. So even in the last game we saw Stephano struggled a little bit against that, lost quite a few units to those mines, and even if they weren't the most massive detonations, they were still on the map, right? Ooh. We're not seeing Zerg is good at cleaning them up, but stretching the map.
Out of position.
And these Marines targeting down the hatchery should be able to pick it off. One transfuse is not going to be enough, lifts up and flies away. Loses some Marines, but denying that base. Really, really well done as we have a now 4-base Terran versus a 4-base Zerg who is rebuilding that 5th.
And some very big sieging potential here from uThermal in this game, because remember, he made a bunch of tanks earlier and now he's making a ton of Widow Mines. So if he sets up somewhere towards the top right-hand side and sieges towards, that 4th, 5th base of Stephano, where there is less creep, it could be really hard for Stephano to defend properly against this.
This map, too, is also one of the greatest maps we've probably ever had in StarCraft for Widow Mines. Those little island lanes, if you're trying to move through them, it's going to be very hard to keep your unit split while going through. Very easy to zone off a Zerg
player, I expect at some point in the distant future we'll get some big brain plays, maybe put some depots by those bridges, because it really does make this map a little bit more Terran favored, especially with when you're playing with Bio. It's hard to get those surrounds moving through these choke points. And for that reason alone, uThermal, actually no, I'm also going to say because he hasn't built any Mutalisks or anything that can kill the Medivacs, he's just been in an absolutely dominant position. He's got the map control, he's been able to play these positions in these chokes, and the Medivac count has not been called at all because he simply doesn't have anti-air. He's literally just using Zerglings and Banelings, nothing else.
Well, Queens, somewhat.
They're, you know.
Well, to be honest, these are in the center of the map right now. The creep spread is pretty damn good from Stephano there.
The creep spread is good, but uThermal's he's got a good enough economy that you would want versus a Zerg in this stage. And I think now is the time. You drop 2-3 Ghost Academies and you put your rally cap on and get ready for that late game, because that is where we're going. Unless
It is Judgment Day.
And yeah, I think we're getting into with this many Ling Bane, even no matter how good your splits are, you should have a hard time making a push unless he gets a miracle Widow Mine hit. Stephano should be able to get his ultras, and then the bio is going to fall off of it. There we go. 2 starports, fusion core, 2 more command centers. Give me a Ghost Academy. I'd like to buy
Just one, at least one.
Can we get G on the board, please?
Kaitinos plating on the way here for Stephano, who's had to evacuate one of his bases, goes for the counter-attack here, and blows up a planetary fortress. You mentioned that uThermal was where he wanted to be economy-wise. That's definitely going to put a dent in that here.
No, that's really frustrating, especially since he's going to rebuild that command center right there, too. So it will be vulnerable to a follow-up attack. That sensor tower is basically like, you know, it's kind of like a global taunt. The Zerg is going to really want to get over to that. And he's just got so many Ling Bane. How many Zerglings are on the field? Just out of curiosity. Over 150 as he, well, some of them are dying now. But he comes in, cancels that base, cancels the other 2 command centers that were building there. And these Ling Bane are going to force their way through. Now, this choke point, amazing for the Marines. But he really has to get some work done now. Once this wall gets ripped open, that 3rd base is going to be under fire as well,
God.
Todd.
They're both saying you're out of position. No, you're out of position. And apparently, I mean, they're starting some sort of base trade. I guess they both should have enough eventually to defend on their side of the map.
Stephano went for the mass Zergling build, ladies and gentlemen. It is working here at the World Championship Series. uThermal, he had all access to the tech. There was very little usage of anything like those mutas, but this Bioforce needs to get catastrophic damage done with how much he's taken back home now just on, honestly, that main base is probably mined out by now, right? So, watching Marines try to kill that
Tickle.
He's dummy thick. Takes a little while, and he pushes the army all the way back. So you're like, okay, well, he kills that Ultra, but there's going to be more coming up. The 3/3 upgrades are on the way. And once the +3 Carapace is done for Stephano, those Ultras are going to be even more difficult to deal with for this army. Marines all stim back, but the supporting units are gone. He's got nothing back home, Todd, and he's supply block.
Yeah, once this becomes a low econ game, Ultras are going to be so good there in these situations. And uThermal's just going to tap out. Stephano gets the equalizer here in game number 2.
Fantastic game by Stephano. I really like the momentum that uThermal was getting, but Stephano basically just said, hey, if you're going to constantly be out attacking me, I'm going to build the most ludicrous number of Ling Bane that I will have a massive army to defend my top base, and I will also have a second massive army because he didn't invest into Infestors, he didn't invest into Mutalisks. We didn't even really see that Hive tech come up. He actually went for Adrenal Glands first. The Ultralisks were a little bit slow to the draw because he didn't need them. And just that big bust on the Planetary. Like, he had 1 tank in a Planetary there. The Lings come up, soak the first couple tank hits, and then the Banelings just, well, they right-click on the Planetary, and you suddenly have to deal with a massive flood of counter-attacking units.
Yeah, Stephano looked really good there, like just solid in the defense, great creep spread, and once he can get that going well enough, he's going to be really good with the balance from counter-attacking to leaving just enough back at home to defend against the attacks of uThermal. And I mean, you mentioned it many times, there wasn't really any Mutalisks to help against the Medivacs, but he doesn't care. He has enough Queens to shut that down if uThermal goes deep enough, and he cleans any ground armies with Ling and Banes exclusively.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe something in the rallies I didn't notice or something, but you need to have Like, if he just has, like, 20 or so Marines, like, one production wave, like, with that tank at the planetary, like, he should be able to clean up enough of it that the banelings don't do that much damage, and it kind of snowballs like that. But I think it could also just be without...
I think uThermal was across the map.
Yeah,
maybe,
I was saying,
like,
his eyes might have been on the other side of the field where he's just saying, okay, and I didn't quite see if he was rallying a whole bunch of units behind the army, but those are the types of things that really come in and play into this, because it does feel nice to leave one tank there with the planetary.
Yeah.
But at that point, with that much Ling Bane on the map when you haven't seen other tech, I guess you just start throwing down walls. Just build another wall in front of that base, because it's the only thing that's going to be able to stop.
Build that wall.
Build it, man. That's a huge open area on that map, especially by that base. There's no choke points on that specific expansion, so would have liked to see him wall it up.
He completely bypassed the Sensor Tower, by the way. He was like, well, you can see me, but I don't care.
Yep. Well, when your army's on the other side of the map, there's not a whole lot that you can do as we are loaded into Disco Bloodbath for the deciding map of our first match of the game. It's a bloodbath. In the bottom right, we have the blue Terran player tied 1-1. He is uThermal. Just glad we got to Roddy's favorite map, talking about how much he wanted that. In the top left, we have the red Zerg player massing Zerglings all day, every day. He is Stephano.
And to be honest, it looked convincing. Like, even in game number 1, I thought he was defending well for a very long time, up until the point his infestors kind of got caught. But that one scan, he started running out of energy. Then he lost those very expensive units. So maybe just the style that he wants to play in general and he practices. It kind of feels like Stephano nowadays, he likes to somewhat perfect one main style per matchup. And right now versus Terran, it seems to be that very Ling, Bane heavy style. And just like defend, set up his economy further, take a fifth, build up his gas economy, and then going towards that hive tech.
That's the party Rubik's Cube version here on Disco Bloodbath, available exclusively on the latter edition of this map. It's beautiful. This is a fun map. Did the strobe lights bother you before they took them out, Todd?
Well,
we had great flashing lights.
Yeah.
I think the reason why Kevin also likes it, this is about as close as you're going to get to Roddy in the club playing on this map as well.
Not quite shortlist yet, but
if you've ever wanted to see a dancing branded character I can't mention from another famous movie series, there you go, right in the middle, breaking it down, ladies and gentlemen.
kind of looks like you dancing actually from those after parties.
Well, we gotta really crush the dono goal for me to put the Kigurumi on. But yes, I can see it. I can see it, Todd. Hopefully we have an after party like that for this event too. Yeah. As that factory does start up, I would like to see on this map one of those air builds. This map begs for it. You have a cliff behind the main base mineral line. As a Terran player, this is a gift from the gods of StarCraft.
This map was made by a Terran.
This map was made for Terran players. You have a high ground by the main that can cover any sort of attack on that low ground between the natural and the third. So you could have a tank pop out real fast if you were under attack early to defend. Obviously, for the Zerg, the bases are going to be a little more central. But since you would have to bounce back and you can hide a medevac safely behind that main base mineral line in the air, it really just gives you that aggressive versatility that you need to put the pressure on, whether it's ranged liberators, a really fast drop. I'm going to say it, battle cruisers are really, really strong on this map for that reason. You could teleport into the main, right-click on about 7 or 8 drones and just walk out.
Just keep mentioning them. Eventually, we're going to see them. Probably not in the series.
We're going to see it at some point.
Yeah.
We're going to see it at some point. I just know that it won't happen while I'm casting, so I'm just getting it out of my system right now.
Yeah.
It'll be like Pig or someone who'll be like, oh, if only Nathanius were here to see these battle cruisers, I might. And then I'll be crying backstage.
If you keep mentioning it, eventually when it happens, you'll be like, see, I told you.
That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for. This is a bit odd, by the way. So he's gone for the fast reactor. And this is this a fast non-stim 16 Marine drop?
Yeah.
What? Okay, he can build a mine with this too. Okay, this is well, I can't say I've seen this, something like this, just odd, Todd. This is quite different. You're not to be expected, but great on this map because of how fast he can fly over there.
Stephano loves links, and in the 2 previous games, uThermal dropped that 3rd command center pretty quickly.
By the way, these guys, y'all think you're in the wrong quadrant over there.
They're lost.
Yeah, though they wanted to go dancing, but no.
Not yet.
You have a tournament. This is game 3, okay? It's not time to...
Okay, he still drops the 3rd command center.
What a weird thing to scout, though. You see the reactor on the starport and the factory, and you're just
you see a flank
what?
barracks?
You're just like, what is going on? And then
He's about to find out. 8 links on the way in the production tab here from Stephano, who's adding one more queen as well. I think he has a pretty good idea. There is something coming towards this side of the map. He's even grabbing spores, actually.
yeah, well, if I were him, I'd be very confused. But the support crawl is going to be quite nice because the bio will not target it down. So he needs to drop somewhere else, or he'll lose the medevacs, which are weirdly, they are the most valuable part of this drop. If you can keep the bio alive with those. The spawning pool under pressure? Yeah, get rid of that spore. That's probably the biggest thing that you want to dislodge here so the medevacs can advance. That mine shot drags really hard over the Marines. Oh, God, that couldn't have gone worse.
I just had flashbacks of 4GG a long time ago versus Stephano.
Well, yeah, I'd say that was versus Stephano. It might have also been on a dark map like this, too.
I was like on a snow map. Stephano, it feels like he's mastered the controlling of those mines.
Well, there's no better...
friendly fire.
Yeah, there's no better way, by the way, to follow up a 16 Marine drop with double medevac than mech. So, third command center is done. Look at that. He's not even going to transform it. He's going to fly it straight to that third base, Todd, because he wants that gas. And he's just going to go straight to that third. He's going to immediately take it. He has a Liberator coming out. Those medevacs are still on the map, and he can bring the Hellions forward to support those Marines. And even though he's not going to be playing bio, the Marine DPS is still going to be just fine at pushing back the Queens and the Zerglings, just because they don't have that long attack delay that the Hellions do. And is that... Oh, I love this. The Liberator's going to flank. Liberator's going to flank at the same time. So he wants to kill this fourth base while he gets some drones.
He siege under the fire here of that spore, so that's not going to last too long. When he gets 2 drones, would have been so much better if that was elsewhere. But the Hellions now gonna go for the run by into the natural links are there, as well as the single queen, and this is gonna get cleaned up. The fourth base, did it get sniped? No.
Oh, wow, okay. So honestly, we thought the Hellions were gonna come support the Marines, but I guess he was worried that all the Queens would come over and the Marines should be able to do it on their own, but most of the Marines are dead. These medevacs do have some value to them, even though he's gonna be playing mech. I wouldn't mind if he tried to pull it back. The Marines, they don't really matter anymore, but keeping, I guess you don't need to suicide them.
Because not only do you have dropping potential with this, which with mech is like rare a lot of the time, but they also keep those Hellbats alive very nicely.
Yeah, and that's going to be another big thing, because this map is still really good for drops, that the utility will always be nice. And we could even see endgame-wise, if Thor's ever come into the field or something like that. Although with the compositions that Stephano's been playing, there's no need for that. He's pretty much exclusively been Ling, Bane, and Fester has really been his game, at least versus the mech, and even in game too. That was pretty much where he was going before it was full-on mass Marine. He's like, I'll just get Ultralisks instead as the follow-up, but there we go. 4 Hellion drop. Now, if you get transformation servos with this, it gets really fun. 4 Baneling run by. Let's see it. Is it going to be the dream, Todd?
Yeah, I think he's going to try to time that and wait and see that uThermal has moved out or something. Like if you just send that now, a lot of the time the army of the Terran is going to be seated around the third base, and then you'll just lose a bunch of Banelings, which are not super expensive. Yeah, he sees the move out, and then that's going to trigger the counterattack. uThermal, does he see this coming? Does he react? Oh my God!
No, the Marine, nothing's here. The Marines are going to try to drop the aggro, but they're going to die to 17 SCVs picked off. Now, we did get the Hellions dropped into the main base, so 5 drones were killed. This base is being focused down by those Cyclones. Magfield Accelerator was not done yet, so they're actually killing quite slowly. Now it is ready, so this hatch is going to die. I believe a few more drones get picked off. The Hellions actually get onto the drones that were on this base, so trading blows now. This is really important as they're both down to the same number of workers, so uThermal really able to salvage that huge Baneling hit he took, getting it back down with 16 drones roasted and toasted.
This map couldn't have been named better, Nathanias. It's a bloodbath all over the map.
Never a more apt description for a map of StarCraft.
With a little bit of a disco somewhere in there, too.
Hey, you know what, man? I'm down. I'm down for the disco here. And that infestation pit is coming up. Look at these guys little dancing over there, too. Of course, dancing by the disco Rubik's Cube. I love it. I love it. So we've got some more Banes being morphed. He wants to go for some harass, but this is where those Hellions are so useful, just to have the blue flame Hellions out on the map, denying this pressure. And you're like, oh yeah, just shaves off some Lings. But Stephano's whole entire army has been Lings for this. So the Zerglings are not just this residual force that he's kind of like throwing here and there, like shurikens. The Zerglings, that is the meat of Stephano's army. It's just Zerglings all the way down with some Baneling support. Now here comes this drop.
I saw the Lings in the middle.
Servos, but he's going to go for the transform here anyway. And oh my God. Well, this angle works beautifully, Todd.
He's catching a bunch of Lings in the middle of the map as well with the Hellions. That was really nice. And he saw the entire movement.
Perfect micro there, Todd, too. Yeah, this base, he should be able to get this base if he just focus locks it.
Which is very big if you can keep a Zerg down on bases. Even scans on the right-hand side here to see that base was there. And
Stephano is...
The soup does not lie, Nathaniel.
No, it does not. Okay, well, my heart rate just went up for a second there. I mean, uThermal's looking fantastic. Everything that had to happen in this game, he made happen off the back of that huge counterattack and the fact that his Hellions have just kept catching the Lings. You can only play Ling Bane versus Hellion Cyclone if you can get a surround on creep and catch that army. But if you're making these plays off creep, your Zerglings are getting caught by the Hellions, your Banelings are getting caught by the Cyclones, and then the Terran can split their mech like this, like, what are you going to do? You got a couple of Cyclones sub 10 health, but they're alive. He's going to go back and heal them. Infestors are coming out. And this is a weak army, so if it gets fungled, there is something that can happen. But the transition is already starting, Johan. 2-2 for the mech, but Liberators and those siege tanks again. That did so well in game 1.
Yeah, uThermal denying so much of this creep. Now Stephano crippled, trailing in supply. Half of the army of uThermal now. And uThermal is looking to close the show here.
I love the mines. I love the mines too. Like, he's really solidifying. He's hitting drilling claws again. And uThermal wants to bring the pain. He wants to end this series. A few fungals I don't think are going to be enough without a massive number of Baneling connections. But that army has been pre-split so well, Todd, as he continues to move up, and he doesn't even need to fully engage into this. Just needs to get a couple Cyclones to lock onto the hatchery.
Just listen to the beat, moonwalk back with those Cyclones a little bit while shooting down everything.
You know what? The Cyclones are, you think about it, with that lock on, it is a bit of a cheeky moonwalk there. So the Infestors kind of walk up and eat a few of those alien shots. Stephano down to under 100 supplies, gonna GG out. uThermal takes the first series here at WCS Fall. Absolutely fantastically done. Great control. Really love the build orders. He did something different every single game, and just what a phenomenal picking apart of this Zerg strategy. He goes to shake Ilias's hand with a smile on his face. One hell of a series. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are going to go to an interview. Let's hear thoughts from our winner, uThermal.
Thank you so much, Nathanius. That's right, I'm here with uThermal. Congratulations on your first win here at WCS Fall. How are you feeling about your performance right then?
I'm pretty happy with my performance, actually. I was quite relaxed, and even though I lost, normally I tend to tilt a bit, but now I managed to keep my good mood, and I think my performance was good. So.
Awesome, I thought so as well. Congratulations. So I have a question for you. We know this tournament's full of a bunch of new maps. Obviously, a bit of a challenge and a new opportunity for you all as players. How do you prepare for a tournament like this, given so many changes in the place where you were going to be performing?
Actually, what I like to do on new maps is just play really crazy, because people don't really have the maps figured out. Like, I know a lot of the other Terrans have been complaining, and it's because they play a lot of standard stuff. But for example, the builds I did in game 1 and 3, those builds aren't really played anymore, but I thought they were good on these maps. And yeah, that's what I like to do on new maps, and it worked out.
It's awesome. I love the attitude. All right, last question. We know in the WCS points race, I think you're sitting around 20 right now. What are your expectations for this tournament? What's going to leave you feeling like you've been successful here? Is it BlizzCon or bust? What do you got?
Honestly, I don't think I'm really in the race for BlizzCon. So I came in with the mindset of having fun and beating a lot of people with meme builds and funny stuff. So so far I've succeeded. I'm going to continue doing that.
All right, uThermal, well, congratulations again. Ladies and gentlemen, one last round of applause here for uThermal. We're back to the desk with you, Kalaris.
uThermal turning up the heat here in the Olympic Stadium as he's able to take the victory here over Stephano to get things going. And what is very interesting to hear there for a moment is that uThermal says he's come in to have fun and get some meme build wins, which actually, if you think about the history of uThermal, I've always thought he plays his best when he doesn't, almost have this devil-may-care attitude about approaching to a tournament. So getting that win, it's a nice start. Maybe you can get a few more here.
It's the right attitude as well. Just come in there. You've got to play that sort of unencumbered style. You can't be afraid of making any mistakes. And I love that build there with the bio kind of fake out in that last game. and then swapping back into mech. I mean, it seemed like Stephano just wanted to try and fight mech with Ling Bane, Raynor style.
Yes.
A very ambitious approach, which can work, but you need to have the sickest flanks and surrounds. And we saw that uThermal was a slippery boy, kept kind of dodging away with those Cyclones and Hellions, just didn't let it land.
Roddy, any thoughts?
Yeah, fun series, and I think kind of in the line of expectations of everything we said before, a little bit back and forth, hard to really predict who's going to win. I also said that this would be a very good indicator to see how far either of these two guys can truly go, see what kind of skill level they bring. I'm not sure if that question has truly been answered for me. I'm not sure what to expect, but I honestly believe that both these guys should at least make like a top 24 in this tournament. I'd be disappointed if neither of them makes it, because don't forget, for the people at home, we do, of course, have the knockout bracket again. We didn't really talk about that yet, but it's already going on in full force. And actually, I mean, I've been multitasking a little bit, Kalaris. I watched a little bit of TvZ, but there's a lot of StarCraft going on, okay?
There definitely is. We can actually check in with some of the games that we do actually have here, of course, as we do have Mr. Pig. You had Hellraiser versus... you had Vindicta versus Estrella, and now you have Zanster versus Gerald. What's going on over there?
We've actually swapped over to sort of a showtime as I didn't get into the second map. A very nice first map win there, though, by Gerald, I believe that was. Vindicta, though, had a really close match with Estrella. So, we don't have much to look at here right now.
No, it's fine.
But there was a good series with Vindicta versus Estrella. It was a really close game one.
Yeah.
Where it looked like kind of the bio parade was going to crack through. Estrella managed to hang on and then kind of explode from there. Game two, Estrella dominated Vindicta. There was like a fourth base going down at 5 minutes 40. He had a fifth base down by the 7.5 minute mark. It was insane. So he just swarmed him with Zealots, played very well after scouting the defensive play. Bit unfortunate for Vindicta to lose that series. I think a wall-off could have saved him, but he's still got another chance.
Rotterdam, you did have Hellraiser versus Pro, but now you had Gerald versus Papi Joe, correct?
No, that was Mana versus Papi Joe, actually. That's the lower bracket match
I wrote it
of
down
that
wrong.
group.
You're right.
I've seen a lot of StarCraft, so I'm not actually going to break everything down in detail like I normally do, but yes, Hellraiser won convincingly against Probe. It was a pretty clean 2-0, so Ukrainian Protoss representing Clash, actually doing very well so far in this tournament. I also saw game 3 of the knockout bracket between M. Canning and Semper, and for all the M. Canning fans out there, he put 5 on it, don't you guys worry. He did win the final game. It was pretty close. I actually thought that Semper was winning at one point, but M. Canning still moving on in that knockout bracket. Then I also saw another then I saw the Gerald. No,
how many
Mana,
games did you see?
like 4 or something. I saw Mana versus Papi Joe, and it was actually kind of cool because it truly was one of those meme games where there was an observer being built at this robo, and the entire army is looking at the robos like, we really want to save this robo because there are 3 DTs on powering pylons, and Mana is just circling the robos with pylons, and Papi Joe is slicing all of them down, and then finally, like the absolute last possible pylon that could have allowed the observer to come out, it was up for like a second, observer pops, army kills 3 DTs, and then actually Mana won the game. But that was really close, and Papi Joe truly is bringing the meme builds.
Let's take a quick look in with the groups that have going on throughout all of this, as well as we take a look at Group A. Cham has got himself that victory there up towards the top. Likewise, so is DNS. Unfortunately for Holy Hit, they're already 0-2 and will be falling out of this group into the knockout bracket. So not too much surprise there, I suppose, as things go on. Yeah,
not really.
We'll swift through a lot of these groups here because there's plenty to be looking at, and obviously people want to be getting into games as well. Whilst you're looking at this, guys, any thoughts that really kind of jump out to your tastes?
I believe TLO and Elaser have actually both gone through to the winners match there, so they're facing off. So that's a big Zerg versus Zerg.
Sure.
And Elaser's just on fire right now. So one of the players I've really got my eyes on for this tournament, of course, and Showtime in Group D. I've actually got into their series, so I'll keep you guys updated in the next update after the series.
Hurts me a little bit to see Soul already again 0-1. Obviously, he's not out of this group yet, but come on, Soul. Finally got a couple wins together. We know you got the skills, matey. We really do. But we'll see how this group actually unfolds. The next group is that group that I just spoke about a little bit. Mana was able to defeat Papi Joe in the lower bracket, though. Hey, I said my boy Gerald's got a very good shot here. You know, I actually said an all-Poland top 2. Well, that's going to be hard because Zenz is looking good. This is the biggest upset so far for me. Silky 2-0 shut down. Fear Dragon is cheering up right now. NA holding down the fort, Kalaris.
Yeah, that's pretty good for Silky to be able to get himself that result. And likewise, moving on, Jon Snow with a victory there over Den Denver in one of the opening games here
Wow.
of Group G as well. That's a big win for Mr. Jon Snow.
Okay, I actually didn't even see that one yet. That is, man, the NA Zerg. Somebody
Damn.
said, like, you know what, NA needs a Zerg like Raynor. And Jon Snow said, hold my beer up 2-0 Denver, 6.8k, I don't care. Silky, that's actually really good for those NA guys. I'm impressed.
Yeah, definitely. Harstam and Lambo got themselves that 1-0 start there in Group H as well. Puck, Ziggy going to have to battle it out and down in the lower bracket to get things going. So, kind of to be expected.
I'm just hoping we get that Puck and Ziggy match on your laptop there, Kevin. Like we've got to bring some updates on whatever goes down in that monster. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Lambo, Harstam. I think we've all got favorites on Lambo there, but Harstam, he's strong. He's strong. The carry is back a bit more powerful, something he might take advantage of. He's definitely the sort of player who brings out the Skytoss builds once in a while. So maybe with that carrier buff, do you think they're seeing a bit more use, Kevin, the upgraded carriers?
Absolutely, carriers are pretty good, and especially players that love to go to carriers. Well, the Hellraiser, he likes to carry a Disruptor, Geralt, those kind of guys. I actually expect them to shine a little more.
Sure.
I am not 100% sure if you can truly say, like, it's totally fine to go late game PvZ, you know, let them get all those infestors, because the infestor Terrans are a lot worse, carries a little bit better. But, I mean, it's still like, it's the complete package of Zerg, right? It's the Brood Lords keeping things at bay. It's the Spore Crawlers. So, I don't know. This tournament is actually going to tell us a lot more about the very late game PvZ slate.
And I can tell you a lot more about our next game that's going to be coming up, which will be Estrella going up against Hellraiser here on the main stage. So, we're going to go to a short break here, ladies and gents, for WCS Fall. And when we return, we're going to have that match on the way. See you soon.